Hi everyone, Phil Zea here from historic Deerfield. I wanted you to see that I always wear my mask, so now we've done that, but I hope that we all wear our masks when we're with the public and moving across the American landscape, because that's the only way that we are going to move through this national and international event to safer times. It's a good thing that historic Deerfield, aside from all these old houses in the Flint Center, has 110 acres to work with because as we move towards opening to the public, which is on September 4th for the Friends of Historic Deerfield, and the next day opening to the public on that Saturday of Labor Day weekend. We want to put in front of the public not just an old house or two in the Flint Center, but also walking tours and other great things to see and do through the course of the fall. You remember in the early 80s, there was that great Kevin Costner movie, Dances with Wolves, and how he was stationed out there in the middle of nowhere and went through all this regimen on a daily basis to make sure that his little fort, which was this tiny little superstructure the size of a pup tent, was secure. Well, that's a little bit like we've been. We did a little historical research, and I don't think that Deerfield has been quite this abandoned for this long since September of 1675. So we are really looking forward to moving back to more normal times. Since I spoke with you in March, even in the absence of things, a lot of events have taken place here. One, of course, is the very sad passing for us and so many of Peter Spang. Peter personified Deerfield to much of our constituency. He was the founding curator. If he were seated here with me right now, he'd tell you that he came on September 29th, 1959, when I, by the way, was in the second grade, at 3:30 in the afternoon, and he passed away right before his 86th birthday in May. So great loss, institutional loss there for us, but also at a personal level too. It's just it's impossible to imagine that Peter is not here. So maybe he is. The another point is, as people go, other people come, and Gene Selensky is hired to become our new librarian and the librarian of the PVMA. Taking David Bossie's place. So many people have had to move during this time, and it's hard to imagine coping with that, but she'll come to work on August 31st. Also, even though Deerfield seems idyllic and almost otherworldly sometimes, we're pretty closely connected to the world, and every one of us is connected to the passing of George Floyd, which I wrote about just a few days after he passed away. But my point here is to emphasize the fact that Black lives do matter, that all lives matter, that there's a human perspective that is the equal of anyone interested in the survival of the American democracy and moving forward in some semblance of a collaborative way. And everyone needs their space at the table. Deerfield is a great place to teach and to learn about this, because all sorts of people have lived here and passed through here over the centuries. And of course, Native Americans are among the very first for thousands of years until the Anglos came in the late 1660s. And of course, African Americans lived here and were enslaved in the 18th century. So in some ways, it's a microcosm of America's past, and we want to make it a microcosm of America's resurgence and moving forward to a better time. While we've been closed to the public, nevertheless, life goes on around here. The staff has been absolutely great. 20 of us have been working at home. There were several temporary layoffs. We reopened the Deerfield Inn a little over a month ago, and that's thriving at both the Champney's restaurant level and the hotel level. In fact, over the weekend, the staff delivered $7,000 worth of business. So the restaurant function is going just fine. I mentioned that we're opening to the public, the museum side, Labor Day weekend. We're also working towards starting the renovation of the Creelman House, which will house the summer fellowship program and other similar functions. So more on that later. We're trying to get our funding straightened out there in this new matrix of ours. Coming up in the fall, we have what was to be an on-site forum and now will be a webinar, and that's the bitter and the sweet, the material culture of sugar in early New England. So look for that. The architectural symposium on the architectural designs of the mid-19th century, where we'll do that next year. Meanwhile, Eric Radoya, our our director of historic preservation, is developing an online course that will take its place in the fall. The ADA Historic Deerfield Antique Show will go virtual, so look for that October 10 and 11, and so on and so forth. I should mention, with the Stebbins House as a background, we're holding archaeology days in Deerfield on the 10th and the 17th of October. Claire Carlson, who's our director of archaeology, is managing that, and we'll begin the archaeological investigation of the Stebbins House. And then finally, come see us also on October 23, 24, 25, Sheep on the Street, Heritage Breed Weekend. That is going forward as well. So one thing I've noticed as an occupant of the street the last 4 or 5 months is, strangely enough, we haven't been all that abandoned at all. Very interesting phenomenon that about 10:30 or 11 o'clock, people come from all over and walk up and down the street in Old Deerfield, and then they leave at about 2, and I'm shaking my head wondering why I can't sell tickets to these people. But Deerfield draws people no matter what. It's a great place to be. I'm watching someone go down the sidewalk right now, and we hope that you'll be among them just as soon as you can get here. Thanks, and take care, wear that mask, and be good. Bye-bye, everybody.